in the quiet hum of my parents' house. The past 3 months have been a strange kind of echo. 3 months ago, I was a different person. A person with a plan, a future, and a woman named Natasha, who I thought was my other half. Now I see I was just an actor in a play I didn't know was a tragedy. For 2.5 years, our relationship felt like a shared blueprint. Sunday drives weren't just drives, they were scouting missions for our future home. She'd point out a charming 2-story with a porch swing, and I'd be mentally doing the math. When she talked about having kids, I pictured myself teaching them to ride bikes on a wide green lawn. Her dreams became my obsession, and I decided to make them a reality. I became a man possessed by a single goal. I sold my beloved gaming rig, the one I'd spent a year building. I picked up extra shifts at the warehouse, my weekends blurring into a monotonous cycle of heavy lifting and aching muscles. I even moved back in with my parents, swallowing my pride to save every last penny. My friends thought I'd lost my mind. While they were out living, I was in a self-imposed exile, trading every moment of my present for a vision of our future. For 18 months, I lived on a shoestring, all of it for her. By last October, the numbers on my bank statement were a testament to my sacrifice. $37,000. It wasn't just money, it was a promise. It was the down payment on the life we'd imagined. The pride I felt was a physical thing, a warmth that spread through my chest. I was 26, and I was about to make the biggest, most beautiful gesture of my life. I decided to give her a hint of the surprise. I told her I'd been saving for something for us. Something big. Enough for a down payment on a house. The look on her face was a puzzle I couldn't solve. There was excitement, but it was mixed with something else, a flicker of something I couldn't place. When I told her the amount, she went quiet. A chilling, heavy silence. She hugged me and said she needed time to process it all. I thought she was just overwhelmed with happiness. I was so wrong. 2 weeks later, she came to me with an idea. She'd been thinking about our future, she said, and before we committed to a house, we should go on a big trip, a test run for our relationship. 3 weeks in Italy and France. She pulled out her phone, showing me carefully curated Airbnbs and restaurant reservations. It would be a way, she said, to see how we handled stress and new experiences together. It made a strange kind of sense. And the way her face lit up when she talked about it, I wanted to give her that. I wanted to give her everything. I said yes. I transferred $25,000 to her account. She said she wanted to handle the bookings and planning. She was always better at that stuff anyway. The departure date was set for December 15th. I was convinced it would be the trip of a lifetime, a romantic prelude to the rest of our lives. But November arrived, and the perfect dream began to fray. Natasha grew distant. Her phone became an extension of her hand, and whenever I walked into the room, she'd quickly hide the screen. She started working late more often, a stark change for a woman who had always prioritized her free time. When we were together, she seemed miles away, her mind consumed by some secret I couldn't access. When I tried to talk to her about it, she brushed it off, saying the trip planning was just more stressful than she'd anticipated. I believed her because I desperately wanted to. On December 10th, 5 days before our grand European adventure, she called me. Her voice was thin and shaky. There had been a change of plans, she said, a family emergency. Her aunt in Portland was sick, and she needed to go help her. She promised we'd still go to Europe just after the holidays. I was disappointed, but I understood. Family comes first. I told her to go, to take care of her aunt, and we'd figure out the trip later. But something in her story gnawed at me. Her aunt lived in Phoenix, not Portland, and Natasha had never mentioned her being ill. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I did something I'm still not proud of. I checked her social media. I knew her password, a relic from a time when we had no secrets. I logged into her Instagram, and my world dissolved. The first thing I saw was a story from 2 days earlier, a picture of her at an airport, a caption that read, "Finally doing this," with a heart emoji. And beside her was a man, Marcus. Her ex-boyfriend from college, the one who had cheated on her and shattered her heart years ago. I scrolled, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Pictures of them on a plane together. Pictures of them at a resort with palm trees and a turquoise ocean. Pictures of them holding hands, their faces beaming in the sun. And then, the caption that made me physically ill. Second chance in paradise. Sometimes, the universe gives you exactly what you need when you need it most. She wasn't in Portland. She was in the Maldives with her ex-boyfriend, using the money I had saved for our future. I sat in my car in the warehouse parking lot for 2 hours, the screen of my phone glowing in the dark, the images burning into my memory. I called her. It went straight to voicemail, again and again. For 5 days, I watched her posts, pictures of them swimming, sharing romantic dinners, watching sunsets, my money, my dreams, my savings, financing their paradise. When she finally came home, she didn't even try to lie. She walked into my apartment as if nothing had happened. When I confronted her, showing her the photos, she just sighed. She said she'd run into Marcus a few months ago at a coffee shop, and old feelings had resurfaced. When she learned I had all that money saved, she saw it as a sign, a chance to afford a new beginning with the person she'd really wanted all along. She was sorry I got hurt, she said, but she couldn't pretend anymore. She had tried to love me the way I loved her, to want the life I wanted, but she couldn't. And Marcus, she said, was her person. He always had been. Then she showed me the ring, a beautiful, glistening diamond on her finger, the kind of ring she'd always said she wanted. Marcus had proposed on the beach, she explained, using the leftover money from my savings. When I asked her about our plans, the house, the future, the 2.5 years we'd spent building a life together, she just looked at me with a weary kind of pity. She said those were never her plans. They were mine. She had just gone along with them, hoping she could one day make them her own. She couldn't. That was 3 months ago. Natasha and Marcus got married last month in a small ceremony in Portland, the city she'd used as a cover story. I never got the money back. I had given it to her as a gift. $25,000, gone. I still live with my parents. I'm still working double shifts. But now I'm saving for me. For my own future. For a home that will be mine and only mine. The pain hasn't faded. I still wonder if I'm better off for having discovered the truth before I signed a mortgage or slipped a ring on her finger. But that doesn't make the betrayal hurt any less. Sometimes the person you think you're building a life with is building an escape plan. Sometimes the dream you're working toward is just a convenient cover story for someone else's real intentions. This is not a request for sympathy. It's a reminder that even when you're building something beautiful, you have to remember to check the foundation. And sometimes you find it was never built on solid ground at all.